if I cut my leg, I can get some medication for it and I can take some pain medicine for it. If I stump my toe, I can get something and Band-Aid it up and put some painkiller on it and I'll be fine. If I break my heart, there's nothing to take for it. And so many Americans are suffering from broken hearts, from family issues, from parental issues, from domestic issues, from family issues, and we have to paint a happy face on because we're Christians. And this is the way we look. We're Christians, you know, with our crosses around our neck, never knowing that our crosses are in our lives. Jesus made the toughest altar call that's ever been made. We make altar calls today. God will turn your life around. I don't care how low you are, he'll pick you up. He'll get you together again. If you come to Jesus right now, he'll heal your marriage. He'll bring you through. That's not the altar call Jesus made. Jesus made this altar call. Pick up your cross and follow me. What? Who wants to pick up an instrument of death and cruelty and follow you to a cross? And yet thousands of people followed him. What did Jesus know about crushing that made thousands of people almost faint in the desert without food to hear him deliver a message about take up your cross and follow me? This to me is the epitome of the Christian marriage, that he takes 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. And we know, we have an accountant's record of what it is until he crushes it. The more he crushes it, the more it multiplies. And all of a sudden, what was accountable is 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, and we have absolute metrics on what it was in the bag. The more he crushed it, it fed thousands and thousands of people, and 12 baskets full left. That's what crushing does in our lives. It multiplies us, it increases us, it builds us up, and it makes us more than we would be had we sat in the lap of luxury and had everything go well. You're only strong because of the weight that's been put on you.
Right.
You wouldn't be the man that you are today if you hadn't suffered and endured and agonized and put up with stuff and went home and beat the wall and cried in a pillow to stand up to be who you are. People see you on stage and they think, oh, you're Matt Crouch, you know, you're Paul's son. You've always had it good. Nobody has it good. I don't care where you live or what you drive. Nobody makes it through this life without pain. The call to take up the cross doesn't stop with the zip code.
Right.
It's a universal call from a God who was able to stop the cross, but allowed it to continue because redemption came through it. Job was picked out because he was a righteous man.
Right.
You know, Christ, there was no gall found in his mouth. He went through the judicial system and was crucified. You have to realize, Paul craves, oh, that I may know him and the fellowship of his suffering. What a strange request to make. You know, I've never met anybody that I thought, oh, I want to suffer like you. You know, Paul says his prayer is, oh, that I may know him in the fellowship of his suffering and the power of his resurrection. You can't have a resurrection without a crucifixion. There must have been some knowledge. This guy speaks 5 different languages. He's traveled all over the world. He's trained at the feet of Gamaliel. He's very experienced. He is a spiritual father in Zion. He's responsible for most of the epistles in the New Testament. And the one thing he asks for is to know him in the fellowship of his suffering and the power of his resurrection. And really, they sound like contradictions, but the suffering and the power of his resurrection are the same thing, because you can't know him in the power of his resurrection if you haven't had crucifixion. There's something that comes out of surviving that gives us tenacity and fight, and it has nothing to do with your temperament or how you lash back at people. In fact, some of the people who have the sharpest tongue have the weakest mind. To really be strong is to be left standing when the storm is over. Crying, maybe, a windswept, hair all over your head, clothes tattered and torn, but still here. And I think that we need, especially in this hour, that God has allowed this tsunami of disease to attack the world and made everybody, rich and poor, from every tongue and country, go to their room in time out, proving that none of our technology supersedes his ability to control it. I'm not saying he sent COVID-19, but I'm saying nothing escapes him. He had to allow it, and yet we are still here. And it begs the question, why are we still here? What does God have for us that he allowed us to survive the crushing to this point? What am I supposed to learn from this? Not run from it, not lie about it, not succumb to propaganda about it. God so loved the world, he gave his life for people. And to everyone who's suffering from anything, and their families calling saying, you know, I didn't get to hold my mother's hand, I never got to say goodbye, they wouldn't let me in the hospital, screaming and crying on the phone, feeling guilt and shame. Maybe you're one of those people, or related to one of those people, or near one of those people, or maybe you're one of those people who died because you couldn't get in the hospital because the hospitals were filled up with them and you lost a loved one to some other disease, or maybe you're going through a divorce, or maybe you've got a child that you poured your heart into and they turned around and broke your heart. There's a lot of ways to be crushed. Maybe you're one of the people who built the business and got it going and it all fell apart. Or you were working on a job and doing good and now you're back to square one again and you're trying to figure out where you're gonna stay. You don't have to be poor to be crushed. You don't have to be Republican or Democrat or Baptist or black or white or Pentecostal. Crushing comes to everyone's life, but it never stays. And I think that when we start to talk about this crushing, there is a dignity, even in suffering. There's a dignity that comes up in your spirit that you say to life, you won't break me. And if you're suffering right now and you're on some sort of cross, it's because when this is over, you'll be changed in some way. No longer grapes, no longer temporary. Grapes are one of the few fruits that are raised to be crushed. And Christ was raised to be crucified. But he told the boys, don't give up on me. 3 days I'll be back. And that I'll be back is why I wrote Crushing. Not to tell you how to squirm on the cross, but to show you how to roll the stone away and get back up again.
I know it.
That's what I want you to know. It's not over, it's not gonna stop here. So wipe your face. I cried too. Pull your hair out of your face, messed up your makeup, it's okay. It's not over. God turns pressure into power. He makes wisdom out of the mistakes we made. Wisdom is made from the elixir from every stupid thing I ever did before I got there. And if I hadn't been allowed to go wrong, I'd never be able to get right. So forgive yourself. I want to talk to you. I want to be something on your nightstand or in your bathroom. Not something you just read through on a vacation, but something you just eat in small doses and think about and let it minister to you and speak to the pain in your life. Because sometimes we have a pain, a trauma in a place that even the therapist is not reaching. But the Holy Spirit will get down into the crevices of your soul and heal you there.